Some spaces can be difficult, but I always find the solution. Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett, and in this video, we're talking about the 5 most difficult spaces in your home to decorate that you have actually asked me about. We have got a number of things to get through, so let's get into the video. Now, the first difficult space to decorate that you all ask me about regularly is the entryway. And you know, I love a grand, a formal, a glamorous entryway, but not everyone has that. Some people have difficult spaces. Sometimes your entryway just opens into your living room. What do you do in that instance? Well, darling, I have got the answer for you. Maybe your home opens to your kitchen. Well, instead of making the kitchen the focal point, put a beautiful floral arrangement on the countertop on the island that I'm gonna walk in and see, as opposed to walk into your home and see the oven and the sink and the refrigerator and like, oh, we're in a kitchen. Make that island or that countertop feel like the entryway into the space. Have it be organized, clutter-free, but something beautiful there to take away from the fact that we are standing in a kitchen when you first enter a home. That's something we often see with smaller homes and places that just don't have that grand entryway. Or maybe you have a very open concept space where you walk into it and you are there, you're in the middle of everything. Well, that's a perfect place for a round table. Now, I definitely have a designated entryway into my home, but there's not a great place or a wall to hang art or put a console table. So I opted for a round center table in that space because it allows flow to get on and off of the staircase, to come in, to walk around that piece of furniture. That's always something that can definitely make an entryway feel a little bit more formal or grand if you are after that feeling, because ultimately an entryway sets the tone, it sets the mood, it sets the vibe, the aesthetic, if you will, of your home, and you want that to be the first impression when you walk in. So having something like a round table in my entryway definitely makes it feel a little bit more glamorous, a little bit more grand, and that's what I'm after. However, if that's not what you are interested in for your home, consider something like a console table that you can put a bench under, or you can put stools on so you can sit down and take your shoes off. You can set a handbag. Something like that is also really great, but the most important thing in my opinion is that your front door can open in its entirety. It needs to open all the way to the wall so it stops there, and you don't want something blocking that. So if you want to hang coats behind that, go for it, but make sure you're not piling them up so high that the door can't open. Also make sure that whatever piece of furniture you put on that wall, that entryway, right as you walk in, doesn't protrude into a tight space. You don't want to limit a walkway for the sake of having a piece of furniture. That's never an ideal situation. So just be sure you have a good ease of access and egress in and out of that door into your home. Something else you need to definitely consider is, where do you enter your home from? Maybe you don't use your front door, you use a side door, a back door, a garage door. Make sure the entry into the home that you are using is also setting the tone for the experience you want to have. If you want your home to feel peaceful and relaxed and organized, luxurious, have a built-in unit there. Have something that is going to offer storage or a place for you to set things down in an organized way. That way you feel like you have a peace of mind when you enter your home and your space. It doesn't feel messy or cluttered. Something to consider is the experience, the first thing you walk into a space and see, because it will set the tone and set the mood for the entirety of the space. The next difficult space or item to decorate that you all ask me about all of the time are bookshelves. And a lot of people have a lot of opinions on books and bookshelves and styling, and we are going to dive into that, and I'm going to share some of my top tips. First and foremost, a lot of people will say, what do I do for my bookshelf? But they really have an etagere. An etagere is something that usually is very open. It typically has glass shelves, but maybe it doesn't. It basically is open on all of the sides. These need to be styled in a specific manner that makes them feel a little bit lighter, a little bit airier, not quite as densely packed as a built-in bookcase, for example. The reason for that is they're open all over the place and everywhere, so if we jam-pack things on it, it will make that piece feel very heavy and make all of the items on it look weighty, look dense, look a little bit bulky, and that's just not what you want for that specific piece. focus on layering different items, accessories, and decor into books on an etagere, but on a bookcase, you have more options. Now, a lot of people have a lot of opinions on that, and some people will say if it's not organized via the Dewey Decimal System, it's because you don't know how to read, or if you have anything other than books, it's because you don't read, or whatever, I don't know. But for me, I like to mix in books and decor and the way books are placed. Some of them vertically, some of them laying down stacked, because it breaks up all of the visual lines. And that doesn't mean you can't have some sort of organizational system to your books. That's definitely something you want to have if you are accessing them on a regular basis. I'm also not a person that turns books around because I like to see the spines. I think it's a little bit overly staged to do that, but that's my opinion. And I also think it depends on the placement of those shelves, where they are in your home, and how you intend to use them. If you have beautiful styled shelves flanking a fireplace, that's a good place to store a lot of your books, but you can also incorporate a lot of meaningful accessories or decor, things that you have or you've picked up in your travels. I think that's always a great way to accessorize a home, to create a conversation. If I had those, which I don't, but if I did, I would be styling them with coffee table books and collectibles, accessories, and decor that I have that are very important to me, that I want to see on a regular basis, that I want there to be front and center. But if I had a library with shelves covering the walls, that's a place that I'm going to do about 90% books, and the 10% of things that are not books are going to be bookends, because I want to take advantage of those. I want it to feel like a library, because that's what it is. Ultimately, your bookshelf can be a combination of form and function. It should be usable and represent you and have things you love on it, but that doesn't mean it has to be purely functional unless that is what is right for you and your home. Now, before we get into our next topic, I want to take just a moment to thank every one of you that has subscribed to this channel. And if you are not already, take a moment and hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification to get notified every time I upload. And be sure to leave me a comment after you have done that so I can personally welcome you to the channel. Also, while you are doing that, let me just take a moment and give you a little surprise. Uh-oh, look who's here. It's baby Linus. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Where's the baby? Oh, yes, you're the baby. Oh, yes, come here. Oh, you're tired of me? You tired of kisses? Are you my baby ball? Oh, yes. That's very sweet. You like to be sweet today, Linus, huh? Look at us together. Okay, Linus, you're very cute, and we're going to let you go. Run! Now, the next difficult area to decorate that you all ask me about all of the time is the mantle. For whatever reason, people find mantles to be difficult to decorate, and I think this is one of those areas where you can switch things up pretty regularly, or just give it a refresh every couple of weeks to keep the space feeling fresh. Now, some keys for decorating above a mantle are that you want whatever piece of artwork or the television that is above that mantle to be proportionate with the space and the mantle itself. I know a lot of people don't like having a TV above their mantle, and that's great for them, but if you don't have the option, that's something you're going to do, and that's great. You know that I personally am a really big fan of these frame TVs, and you can get a customized frame to go around them that actually makes them look really beautiful, and you can rotate artwork through them. I think that's actually very fun and something that can definitely elevate a space, be a cool feature, and give you that artwork appearance with the convenience of having a television. However, if that is not for you and you are like, Garrett, I have artwork and it's going to be hung above my mantle, that's fabulous and I love it. Look at the proportion of the actual fire box, the opening for the fireplace, and use that as a guide for the size of artwork or frame to go above the fireplace. That way we're creating vertical lines from the ground upward that will bring the eye up, make the space appear more linear and therefore taller. In addition to whatever is hanging above your fireplace mantle, you want to think about what you're putting on that. Something that is very symmetrical always leads a space to feeling more traditional. However, if you have a modern space and you're looking to put that more classic spin on it, look for matching items or things that are the same height. That will get you that perfect symmetry, that balance across the mantle from side to side. You also don't want to block whatever is above that. However, it's always nice to overlap things just a little bit. So if you have a television or you have a photo, make sure you're overlapping one or two of those pieces with the frame. That way you're bringing the height of whatever is sitting on top of the mantle up to that picture. You're not creating kind of a block there and a stop that says like, this is that, that's this. You want to kind of blur those lines together. If you are doing a more modern styling, it's always nice to have something taller on one side and shorter on another, but look for a piece of artwork that maybe has a darker portion of it on the right side versus the left, and you can balance out whatever accessory you have on that mantle, or maybe you even put a floor lamp or something that will then create that balance. I think the visual balance and scale of a modern styling can be very impactful and very bold. I also always love a sconce above a fireplace, like 2 sconces on either side of a piece of artwork is so elegant and timeless, it's regal, it's grand. If you are looking to add those traits into your home, it's definitely something worth considering. It's nice to have a little floral arrangement or an item or something important to you that tells a story, an accent piece that I'm gonna say, ooh, that's gorgeous, what is that? And you can then tell me a story about it or when it came to be in your life or your possession and what that means to you. And I think that's always a great conversation starter in a space, and the mantle can be a great place to do that because it's already a natural focal point. The next difficult area to decorate that we're talking about is behind the kitchen sink. Typically, in a new built or a home that's considered to be like luxurious or whatever, we're gonna have a sink that either looks out of a window or into a living space. And that is ideal because when you're cooking, it usually takes you longer to clean up to get the dishes done than it does to actually cook. So I wanna have a view, I wanna have a vision, I wanna see what's going on. But a lot of people have sinks that back into walls. Now, of course, I said I want a view, so if I had a sink that backed into a wall, I would just put a mirror. But you could just take a screenshot. In a kitchen, that's a space you're using when you're doing dishes, like water gets splashed, it's going places, things are happening, like you go to wash a spoon and all of a sudden there's a blast of water happening everywhere. So you don't want to have like a really valuable or important piece of artwork or something fragile or delicate behind the sink. You want that to be a durable piece that won't be damaged easily. And there's a number of things you could do. If you have a very boho style, maybe you put a piece of macrame, or if you are very use oriented, you can get some of these storage baskets that hang on these rods that go behind the sink. I could put like a hanging bar back there that I could then put my towels on. Something I've done behind a stovetop before is actually installed hooks that we could hang oven mitts off of. That's a great idea. Maybe it's a place that you put a hanging plant, or you do some sort of piece of artwork that has glass in front of it or that is not delicate. Maybe it's just an art print you bought off of an artist from Etsy. If you are in the position where you have a sink that backs into a wall, I want to know what's on the other side of that wall. Is it a bedroom or is it a living room? If it's a living room, you could have a contractor potentially put an opening in that wall and see in there. If it's a bedroom, maybe you don't want that view, or maybe you do, and I love that for you. But if you have an exterior wall, maybe you could have a window installed. It's worth having a contractor out, a professional of some sort, to look into doing that and seeing if it's possible or a reality for you, because it can be a great way to elevate the space and make using that space more comfortable. Something I personally have done is add a strip, an accent kind of bull-nosed edged piece of marble in between 2 tiles. That way it just has that little bit of glamour. It's just a little something interesting, some visual interest happening there to break up a lot of the same thing happening. You could consider that above a sink or behind your stove as well. Maybe you hang a little spice rack. That could be interesting, but keep in mind, whatever you put in those spaces are going to be met with a lot of grime and dirt and grease and dust and will need to be cleaned. That's the most important aspect to keep in mind when you are decorating a kitchen, which is why I always recommend you use actual useful items that you intend on using into the space that are maybe just beautiful. For me in my kitchen, I do things in blue and white, and I love to collect vintage Corningware. It's beautiful, I can display it, but I can also use it to cook with. That's a great option and something worth considering. The next difficult area to decorate that you ask me about all of the time are actually hallways. And the thing about a hallway is they are not all created equal. But if you have a smaller hallway that's just a tight kind of space connecting different rooms, well, you don't have those options and we need to scale back a little bit. But I think a hallway can be a very impactful space. It is somewhere though you have to take into consideration because you have different rooms branching off of that space, and it's a great place to create connection between all of them. So look at your color schemes, look at the styles of what is happening in those spaces, and pull inspiration from those. I think a hallway is also a great place to have something sentimental, some sort of artwork, something hanging on the wall. Maybe that's a great place in your home for family photographs or a beautiful painting that someone you know created and gifted to you. I'm not a person that is going to put a piece of furniture in a tight space. So if a hallway is only 3 or 4 feet wide, you don't really have the space for a bench, a table, a console table, or a floor lamp, or anything like that. I would much rather have a clear walking path that I'm not going to trip and stumble over something in the dark. But you could always layer a beautiful runner or something like that into a hallway that will then create another dimension, another layer that adds to the space. I also love a great, bold, vibrant wallpaper in a hallway. I also love just to paint a hallway in a unique way. Paint the ceiling, paint the trim, do something unique in a vibrant or interesting color. Maybe you add a little bit of paneling or molding into a hallway. That's a great way to create a very visually interesting space, but that can be very minimal decor and accessory wise. You don't always have to add something to a space or bring in new items or pieces or furniture, decor to make that space beautiful. Less is more. Unless, of course, you've got one of these massive 7 or 8 foot wide hallways, because then, honey, layer it up, do some matching console tables, give me some chairs lining the hallway because I love that. It's glamorous. I mean, maybe you just live in a mansion, darling, and I love that for you. A hallway is also a really amazing place for a beautiful statement light fixture. If you have a hallway that's thin but has a great length to it, add a couple of the same light fixtures into that space because it will be breathtaking. I think lighting in a hallway, whether that is overhead lights, pendants, chandeliers, sconces, are glamorous, are gorgeous, and I absolutely adore that. Definitely something worth considering because it leaves you all of the floor space free and clear, but has a lot of visual interest. Well, there you have it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. And I want to know from my subscribers, what is that one area in your home that is just difficult, you can't seem to decorate, or you keep doing but you're just never happy with? Be sure to share with me in the comment section down below, because maybe we're looking for some ideas for part 2. I also know that you know someone that they are having a difficult time decorating one of these areas in their home, and honey, they need help because they're just not on that LeChic level. Send this video to them because friends help friends, and I will see you in the next one.